Cardinals 37, Rams 20. The Arizona Cardinals put a stranglehold on the NFC West, moving to 4-0. They're 1 game up on the Rams, of course, now 2 games up on the Seahawks and 49ers, and have, I believe, nope, not the best, but close, the second best point differential in the entire NFL. So, Wilson, are you buying or selling? The Cardinals are a legitimate contender.
You know, we talk about Mike McCarthy, sort of the Cowboys overcoming Mike McCarthy until the playoffs, when they probably won't be able to. I sort of feel like that's what the Cardinals are doing with Cliff Kingsbury. But as Eric Casillas noted today, Cliff Kingsbury may be a horrible in-game manager. He hasn't made Kyler Murray worse. And in fact, Kyler Murray has gotten better, and he is playing like an MVP. And they had lost 8 straight to Sean McVay and the Rams. And this game never felt close.
Yeah.
So they're 4-0. I mean, it's hard to, they play an incredibly tough division. It's hard to imagine if Kyler Murray stays healthy, they're not going to make the playoffs. We'll see. But this is a team I had pegged to finish last in that division, and they're slapping me in the face saying, we're pretty good. They've scored, they're averaging over 35 points a game. They did that again this Sunday against this Rams defense, which we all,
and maybe more importantly, they held the Rams to 20 points.
And they held the Rams to 20 points. So, you know, this isn't a come back to earth game for the Rams. It doesn't say anything about Matthew Stafford. I think it says more about how good this Cardinals team is, and how, at least in my estimation and where I'm coming from, I underestimated how good they're going to be. I'm still not sold on Cliff Kingsbury, but as long as Kyler Murray can do what he does, he's running a little less. By the way, Kyler Murray coming into this game, completing 77% of his passes. He only managed 75% in this game. So, I mean, it's crazy the level he's playing. Steve Keim looks like a genius after watching the Josh Rosen thing and then circling back 12 months later. And here we are. So everyone gets a thumbs up. The Cardinals appear to be legit as long as Kyler Murray continues not to take hits when he's out there. I don't know what's not to like.
Yeah. And Wilson, I don't know that we've underestimated them because I kind of felt the same way, but it's not like, you know, you and I thought this team was going to be 0-4 going after 4 weeks. I had them at 3-1. I think you probably had 3-1 if you went through all the picks. I picked them to lose this game though. But I feel like this was a big monkey to get off their back because Kyler Murray had never beaten the Rams. 0-4. McVay had kind of dominated Cliff Kingsbury. And the reason was the Rams were just so athletic on defense. They would just bottle up Murray, keep him from running, and say, beat us with your arm. We dare you. And he just didn't have, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't throwing at an NFL level yet. And then now this game says he can start doing that. I mean, is there definitely a few concerns with the Cardinals? I mean, they were trailing Jacksonville 19-10 last week. Yeah. You know, it took a miracle missed field goal to beat the Vikings. So there's definitely a few questions, but I do think that they're without a doubt, you know, one of the top teams in the NFC. And when you manhandle the Rams like they did on Sunday, I thought the Rams are one of the best teams. So I think the Cardinals are here to stay.
This is only their 3rd start ever, the Cardinals, to 4-0. The 2012 team also started 4-0, somehow finished 5-11, which is,
that's a concern.
That's a very amazing Cardinals thing to do.
Is that Carson Palmer on the 2012 team?
No, he wasn't there yet.
He was in Oakland by that point.
Yeah.
Because that's Andy Dalton's first year.
And this is the 3rd straight game that Kyler Murray's had over 75% completion percentage for the game. That is very impressive. He's just accurate. He's moving well, and he's looking like the guy that was playing at a really high level before his injury last year to his shoulder, and he kind of stopped running. He took a little bit of a step forward. I don't know if you can bet him as an MVP because he's going to be like 2-1 or something in that range now. You needed to get it in before the season, or if he starts to drift a little bit, if somebody makes up ground. But he's definitely going to be the favorite at this point. I would say 37 points is the most allowed by the Rams since week 15 in 2019. Wow, that's a concern too, because the Rams defense held down. I almost look at this as sort of maybe a letdown from that Bucs game. And I was telling Breech on the Early Odds podcast that we did, and you can go check that out in the feed or on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. But yeah, there you go. If you can go bet this on Caesars right now, I mean, +5.
Same as Patrick Mahomes.
What's that?
I was going to say he's the same odds as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, that is going to be lower when that's adjusted in the morning. So I would go wager on that now, if you can, on Caesars. Not that I think Kyler Murray's going to run away with it, but just you're getting good value if you want to try and hit some stuff on the like on the MVP odds. At any rate, I think looking at these games, the San Francisco game and the Arizona LA game, it makes a lot of sense in these divisional matchups to take the points. If you're, if you think it's gonna be close, it's gonna be a toss up. It's 4.5. Take the points, especially in a spot like the Rams, who are coming off a letdown game. And Matthew Stafford didn't play very well. He was inaccurate, sort of scattershotted. They couldn't convert in the red zone.
Byron Murphy had an interception.
Yeah, intercepted by Byron Murphy. 26 of 41, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Van Jefferson was his leading receiver. The Cardinals did a pretty good job. Cooper Kupp, 13 targets, just 5 catches, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he missed Cooper Kupp on what could have been a touchdown pass. He rushed one down sort of the seam there. That sticks out in my mind.
Yeah. So,
well, and it's funny because there's always been the narrative that Matthew Stafford just doesn't show up for big games. And last week he beats the Buccaneers. So you're like, we're over that. And then this week it kind of happens again. And Brinson, you mentioned they might have overlooked this team, which if that's the case, that's kind of embarrassing because you're in an undefeated game against. I don't think it's crazy to say that though. But the fact that they weren't more fired up for a matchup, the only matchup of undefeated teams this week, and against a division rival, it looked like they came out a little flat.
Yeah, I guess I just mean that.
I think flat's better. I don't think they overlooked them. I think they maybe, as Brinson noted, they were coming off the high of beating the Buccaneers.
Cardinals, it's a huge win for them because they got a pretty tough little schedule coming up. The 49ers at home next week. We'll get to that. It's going to be Trey Lance over Jimmy Garoppolo, unless Jimmy's just full of it. Then at Browns, Texans at home, which should be a free win. At Packers at home, that's a tough matchup. At 49ers, Panthers at home. So,
well, I don't. We're gonna do a break in a second here. I don't know about this 49ers business, guys.
Okay, well, we'll get that in a minute. Rams at Seahawks, at Giants, Lions at home, at Texans, Titans at home, at 49ers. Feel pretty confident they're going to win 3 or 4 of those. I think the Rams are in fine shape. They just had a bad day at the office, and you move on from there.